Okay, welcome everyone to the Lancaster City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
City Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Doris.
Here.
Molly.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chair Chris.
Here.
Mayor, Chairman Harris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Just in the nick of time.
You all were worried about me, weren't you? Okay, got it. Let me take it. Okay, you want to do the roll call on the Housing Authority?
Housing Authority Members Harvey, Molly,
Present.
Mann,
Present.
Vice Chair Chris,
Present.
Chair Zeto. We have a quorum.
Thank you. So the invocation tonight is who? This is getting discouraging.
It is. I had multiple pastors say they was willing to do it.
Follow up, find out if the people are being contacted and invited. And Daryl, do you want to do the invocation?
Sure.
Father, we thank you right now. We thank you for this great city. We thank you, God, for what's going on with the healing in the land. We pray right now that you give us all wisdom on how and what to do for your city. We pray you continue to unite us in love, unite us, God, in a common goal of making this city great. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Sure. Right hand over your heart and please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So, COVID-19. Please. Dr. Tron?
Hi, good evening. I have mostly good news. Can we start the PowerPoint presentation?
It's a chia pet.
So while we wait, what is the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi? The citizens of Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but the citizens of Abu Dhabi do. Okay. That's it. Sorry. Try to lighten it up.
That is a great dad joke. I have to use that.
Doctor, you have to understand not everybody watched the Flintstones.
Yeah. Generational, yeah.
Yabba dabba do, I tell you.
Okay, so
Did that
this
take
is,
you months to?
I had to practice. It had to roll out. Abu Dhabi do, you know. Hey. So 2 weeks ago, I presented here. You can see at that time the world was already seeing a drop in the COVID infections, and the map was pretty red for United States, North and South America, and Russia and Western Europe was really struggling a bit. So here, this is today or over the weekend. As you can see, the numbers continue to improve significantly in terms of the 7-day count. The total cases has dropped 38%. Most of the world is about 422 million cases with 5.8 million deaths due to the virus. The countries that were hot purple are now a little bit redder, less in terms of cases. Africa and Asia generally are doing well. Hence the Dubai, Abu Dhabi jokes. So here in the United States, 2 weeks ago, we were already seeing a drop in our cases. This was, although the map looks very impressive, going forward, this is through the weekend. As you can see, a picture is worth 1,000 words. It has lightened up substantially. And the graph now for 7-day cases really, really nicely dropped. And looking over here, testing is down, hospitalizations down 41%, ICUs down as well, and deaths are down. So We are pretty much emerging from the January, February surge. Similarly, in California, we're also seeing a significant drop in cases. Also, the 14 days hospitalizations, ICUs, and deaths. Deaths are in California over the weekend. We saw a few more, but it's because deaths follow hospitalization. So, but it should drop as well. Looking at the map, LA County is here, very nice in light color. Only small parts of Northern California, and I think this is Superior County in the south that's seeing the cases. Going to LA County, this really is a substantial drop compared to a couple of weeks ago, mid-January, February. As you can see here, hospitalizations dropped, deaths are leveling off, and test positivity also dropping. We've seen this before. This was last year, December and January. Then it lightens up. We're back again, December, January, February. It's longer than before, but it should lighten up as well. So all good news, very favorable. So much so that LA County has removed the mask mandate for the outside, still requiring it indoors. Still requiring it for healthcare and large groups. This is from Jason and his team. Look at our numbers here locally, substantially very improved, much improved. So what's the predictions? CDC predicts national forecast in terms of hospitalizations will continue to drop out to March 15th. They also predicted California will also drop down as well. So pretty much there will be pockets of surges and spikes, but for the most part, it's leveling out nicely nationally, state, locally. This is the Omicron variant. The B1 is the light purple and the dark purple, and the light pink is the B2 that we talked about. B2 is a closer variant to B1. It is a variant of concern. 2 weeks ago when I presented here, it was maybe 1.5% of the total. Currently, it's double that. It's about close to 3%, 2.5%, 3%. So it is doubling, but it's not really causing a lot of problems if you're vaccinated or up to date. Yeah, this is just a reminder. Now it's at 3.9% in the U.S. In other countries, if you recall, like Sweden and India, it's almost 50% of the virus is isolated. Vaccines would still work as they have with the Omicron B1. This is Omicron B2. It's called a stealth Omicron because it's hard to detect. It looks very close to B1 based on the genetic analysis. Okay, we always talk about vaccination as a good way to get out. There's now, given the drop in cases, there's now less interest nationally for the vaccine. But it's okay. The most vulnerable patients are very, very well protected, 95, 85%. It's projected to reach the 75th percentile based on this rate of vaccination. We'll probably get there by October. So really what we're seeing is once you get an infection or a vaccine, your antibody level lasts about 4.5 to 5 months. So usually throughout the world, there's usually a cycle. So every 4 or 5 months, you get a new variant. Now, whether or not the new variant is more contagious, infectious, more virulent, we don't know. But so far, we've seen more contagious, but not more virulent. So let's say we're done with this March 1st. Then the next prediction would be late July, early August for the next variant. And if you have a holiday immediately before that, let's say July 4th or something, that may be the next surge. So we can now predict it with reasonable accuracy. This slide reminds us, if you are vaccinated, your risk is 50 cases per 100,000, but if you're not vaccinated, you're double that. In terms of death, your risk is, for the fully vaccinated, it's really, really low, 1 death per 100,000, less than 1 death per 100,000. But if you are unvaccinated, you're 20 times more high likelihood of death based on the vaccination. This is the LA County vaccination dashboard. We're now very high. So if you got 1 shot, then at 77% of the population of LA County received 1 dose. If you have got 2 shots, it's considered fully vaccinated, and that is at 76%. And if you get the booster, then you're really up to date. So that's the language now that we're using. You got 1 shot, you're fully vaccinated, or you're up to date. Just because there's going to be there may be a 4th booster coming on. The news is reporting that at least the studies out of Israel are showing that patients who are who are immunosuppressed, immunocompromised, or are over age 65, they generally have more antibodies produced with the 4th booster. So the FDA is looking at that data. They were discussing it over the weekend, so we'll see. Again, here, seniors, really, really high numbers, and that's why we're not seeing seniors in the hospital at all, hardly, and even in the ICU. Our vaccination rates, LA County is 73%. And Lancaster 58.9%. This is 2 shots. This is fully vaccinated status, 2 shots. Here, Palmdale, it's about 9-10% more. So to get to that, it'll take us to May. No, it'll take us quite a while to really reach the 75th percentile. Okay, pause. Several meetings ago, we talked about the COVID playbook. We did work on it. The deputy ministers and I, deputy mayors and I, and also Jason's team. We took the WHO template. We put the CDC information on it, and we applied the Infectious Society of America, and then we each added our own, knowledge, information of what we did, and we basically, hopefully, we made it very comprehensive, and that was the balance too. Do we make it comprehensive, or we just make it specific for what we saw, during the crisis? It's like a 19-page document. Sorry, it's so long, but it's pretty comprehensive. And for you, for our leadership to review and decide what to do with it.
I reviewed that, and I like it. I mean, you put a lot of work into it. I would like to see checklists with it.
Checklist, right, like a grid?
This happens, here's the checklist.
Got it.
And I would like the checklist to designate the department that's going to do it. All right, so that there isn't, I want to take out any delay while people are trying to figure out what to do.
Right.
No, if this happens, we do this. That's the goal. And I also want to make it available for public comment, because if this happens again, they will have had the opportunity to comment. But this is what we're going to do when we finally get the finished product.
Sure.
I don't know any other way to do it. And if we have to make that an ordinance, we can make it an ordinance. But I don't want to do this again. I don't want to reinvent the wheel again. And hopefully it's not going to happen until, at least the 3 of us are gone.
Look that way.
So when Daryl and Raj have to deal with this again, they'll know what to do. Thank you. Everybody agree with that? Okay.
Okay, we'll get working on the checklist, the grid, the assigning departments when this happens, when an event occurs. Yeah, we divided the 6 phases and what to do before, during, and after. So it's quite comprehensive. We can do it. Okay, so what's the next step? At least for California, Governor Newsom rolled out his SMARTER plan, and it's an acronym, SMARTER. And maybe you can see more clearly in the next slide. S is shots, M is masks, awareness, readiness, testing, education, and treatment, RX. So shots, they're talking about 200,000 vaccines per day. Masks, they want to stockpile 75 million high-quality masks. Awareness, it's a lot of awareness. This is interesting, the readiness. They're going to start checking wastewater surveillance. So everyone uses the bathroom when you're sick, and you could pick up the virus RNA in the stool, in wastewater, and you can predict which strain is causing people illness even before they realize they're COVID positive. So you can geographically determine which part of the city or which part of the state is going through a surge and which strain. So it's very, very high tech. Google also did a similar study where they look at who's Googling influenza. And based on who's Googling which part of the country, they predict that that part of the country is now facing influenza surge. So we're doing indirect surveys now to really study all sorts of pandemics and stuff. Testing, T is testing. They're talking about 500,000 tests per day, availability, and then education, 25% of school-based vaccination sites, and then treatment allow medications to be effective, available within 48 hours. So it's an ambitious plan, but it looks like this is the template going forward for the state. And that's all I have open
Do
for
we have the
questions.
ability to, actually, it's not the ability, do we have the protocols in place where the sewage is being tested?
Not yet.
Do we have plans for that to happen?
No.
So
Do you want it to happen?
I want it to happen.
Okay.
At least want it to happen during flu season, so that we could have some advanced warning. The next one of these is probably going to be a flu, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, we expected this to be the flu. So the more early warning we can get, I don't want to rely on LA County Public Health to give us the warning,
sure.
right? And what I also don't want to do is I don't want to rely on them to give us the antivirals,
Yes.
and so we should probably look into a plan of stockpiling Tamiflu or whatever the antiviral is, because the one thing we learned is we will be treated like the stepchild. If anybody has any doubt about that, they weren't paying attention. So I want that resiliency to be self-contained. I don't want to have to rely on them. If we have to start distributing antivirals, I want to be able to do that. I don't want to be. I never want to be in a situation where I'm begging these people to give us the medication. I mean, hell, we had to go all the way to Washington to even get them to listen to us.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to do the checklist.
Yes.
We're going to have it by department.
Sure.
When this happens, this is what you people do. We will make that available for public comment, and we will get a plan in place. I'd like to know the advisability of having the antivirals stockpiled.
Sure.
Maybe it's not the best thing to do. But, I remember when we first talked to LA County and the fire department when we were afraid of H1N1 coming. Oh, yeah. Marvin just reminded me we're getting a new hospital, so we're going to be in a much better ability to deal with these things. But I remember that, the county just told us, oh, no, we have it stockpiled, you'll get it. I will never listen to that again.
Yeah.
We have got to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. Now, the new hospital is going to be huge. I mean, it's a $1 billion facility. It looks like it hasn't been, they haven't wrote the check yet, but it looks like it's going to happen. And then Medical Main Street, Roger's going to talk to us about that. We're going to be in a position to deal with any medical emergency pretty soon in a much more efficient way, as long as we have the bureaucracy in place, that this is what we do, you know? And, you know, at the first sign that we're surging on something, I want us to be able to act. There's no reason so many people had to die in this. There just isn't any reason. Okay, you guys are great. Thank you. I'm so glad you were here.
I'd like to just make a pitch. If you are not up to date on your vaccines, whether you've gotten 3 shots or you've got 2 shots and got COVID, and if it's been more than 6 months since you've either gotten the illness or you've gotten the vaccine, please consider getting vaccinated. If you look at the graph of Denmark, Sweden, India, this BA2 is more highly contagious than Omicron, which is more highly contagious than Delta, which is more contagious than Alpha. And well, if you're not at risk for severe disease, that's great. You still put yourself at risk for long COVID. And if you do have risk factors for severe disease, you probably should know that yourself, your own risk factors at this point for severe disease. We're moving from a public health model to personal responsibility model. And I think in that personal responsibility, you need to really think for yourself between you and your doctor and your family, whether or not you need to keep up to date on this. It's really far more effective than taking medications, any of the medications that are available for this thing. And while a lot of people got it and had a very mild illness, that's no guarantee for any individual person. So please try and keep up to date. The data that Jonathan showed, there's a 20 times higher risk of death if you're unvaccinated than if you're fully vaccinated. And the risk, there also another study that came out that said your risk of death 1 year after hospitalization is super high if you had a bad case of COVID and were hospitalized than if you didn't. So it's not a benign virus for many people.
Yep.
It would appear that the mortality rate from this is going to be much higher than we reported, because people are dying a year later.
Yeah.
Although I do, at least from our point of view, and correct me if I'm wrong, our concern is that the hospital be up and running and be able to fully respond to all of the health needs of the community. As long as that's the case, at this point, I don't think it's incumbent upon us to enforce anything. No. Right? If people want to get this or want to risk getting this or for whatever philosophical reason they have, they can do so. If it surges again and our hospital starts to collapse, then we'll start enforcing. We'll enforce masks. We'll enforce all kinds of things. I mean, you all saw us do it. But there's a balance between what is a public health emergency and what is personal choices. I mean, I don't know why people do what they do. Hell, half the time I don't know why I do what I do.
There's 2 of us.
Thanks, Marvin. But that's where we're at. I think we can stand down now, can't we?
Let's hear from
I
Tiffany.
think so for the most part, yeah. There were just 2 points that I wanted to just bring up to the public at large.
Okay, you got to do it louder.
Okay, regarding the long COVID thing, besides just long COVID, as it's been described, in family practice, we're seeing a lot of coagulopathies, which is blood clotting issues, and they can be anything from small little black marks around your fingernails to full-blown pulmonary embolisms, blood clots in your lungs, strokes, heart attacks, all of the above. When I have spoken with Ed multiple times, the CEO of the hospital, when we weren't in the middle of a surge, his response to me has always been, we don't have that much COVID coming in right now, but we have a lot of heart attacks and strokes and clot-based issues. So if anybody has dealt with COVID, my recommendation would be go see your doctor, get some basic labs run, see if there's protocols that you need to be following. Also, I don't know if it's operator error or if there's something changing with the virus and the home tests, but over the last couple of weeks, there have been several patients that I personally have been in contact with who've done multiple home tests and been negative, and then gone to the Jethawks test site and tested positive within a 24, 48-hour period of time, which is less likely to be because they weren't yet positive. So if you have symptoms that are consistent with it, I would just recommend going to Jethawks. It's quick, it's fast, super efficient. Takes somewhere between 24 and 36 hours, 72 hours, somewhere in there. It's pretty quick to get your results. And it seems to be picking up a lot more cases right now than the home tests. So
It's a lot easier now, too. I mean,
So
the first
simple.
time I got that test, they shoved that thing up into my brain. Now they just kind of twirl it around.
tickle your nose now.
That explains it.
And it is fast.
It is.
It's extraordinarily fast. So I recommend that. So we I'm wondering, should we be doing something to help people get cardiac workups if they've had COVID? So maybe we should develop a plan for that. If it's just the educating people on the city website and social media, but perhaps we should do more.
Okay.
Because I suspect that the people that are most affected don't have personal doctors. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the sad truth of all this. Maybe we could do it through the neighborhood impact homes. Are they up and running?
They are, to my understanding.
Yeah, we can look at options of what are available.
Yeah.
But we're going to need to see the protocols of just what are they looking for?
Yeah.
What tests should we be making sure these people get? I mean, if we can save some lives, let's save them. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty quick and easy, so
Good. Thank you.
cool.
You know, I think because of you three, or you four, where's your cohort?
School.
She has classes. Yeah.
Just getting a public health degree.
I mean, I'm really proud of our response to this pandemic. It's gone on for 2 years, and I think we were ahead of it every step of the way, and that was because of you guys. We had better knowledge, better protocols, you know, and no, it is your fault that, you guys would spin me up and make me say mean things to the supervisors, but they finally gave us our medicine, didn't they? Do we have enough medicine now?
Yeah. We're
Yeah,
doing
we
good
do.
now. Yeah.
It's easy to get. It's very much available.
So anybody who needs it can get it?
Pretty much. In fact, other areas are actually coming to us to get our drugs because we
Can
have
we
a
mark
large.
it up and make some money on it? Never mind. Just a thought. I mean, if you don't.
So apparently the distribution was based on a previous number of cases per 100,000. Since we had a moderate amount, we had a larger distribution. So other areas who had less cases are actually reaching out to say, hey, can we send our patients to get the
Who's making the
Medicaid?
decision?
I'm sorry?
Who's making the decision what we give them?
Well, it's in our hospital. It's part of our protocol.
I just don't want to run out is all. So long as our people,
Right,
we know we have enough for our people, of course we should help whoever.
right.
But I don't want anybody screwing up the math.
Right, we don't want to give out what we have before our population gets it. I get, understood.
Good. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you guys do. Really appreciate it.
I would just like to add, when in a couple of years, when I'm an old guy, I'm going to look back on this part of my life working to help this city, and I can't be prouder of the work that's happened at the hospitals in this community and with you guys as the leaders, the city council and the mayor. I think you did an exemplary job leading through a very difficult time in our history, once in a 100-year pandemic, and it's outstanding work, really.
I remember him saying that at the very beginning of this pandemic.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of it, he was saying, look, people, we're going to look back on this. You know, when it's over, we're going to look back, and we're really going to be judgmental of ourselves. And what did we do? What did we do to help? What did we do to maybe not help? I remember you telling us that. And at least from the city point of view, I think they did an incredible job. You know, they stood up into something that nobody knew what they were doing, and made it happen. And you know, nobody in Lancaster had to get sick. We had the ability to vaccinate people, to protect people, once the vaccine came out. Before that, maybe not so much, but I'm just really proud of the city and the staff and everybody involved. It was pretty cool. And it was from the community. I mean, it wasn't just the city staff. I mean, you know, Lancaster Baptist got Franklin Graham to set up a hospital overnight. I mean, it was literally overnight, wasn't it? I've never seen this community come together with one unified purpose like this. I think we learned a lot from it, and I think we've learned it's not just the city, it's not just the schools, it's not just the hospital, it's the community. And I think we learned how to do that better, you know, and which is evidenced by the new hospital. I mean, the city jumped right in the middle of that with the labor people and made this thing happen. You know, $1 billion, who can do that? It's incredible. We're going to have the state-of-the-art hospital within 2 years. 2 years?
I think the construction timeline is longer than that, but it'll be moving dirt really soon. It takes a long time to build a hospital.
They got to work harder. All right. Thanks. What else we got? We done?
I'll make a motion that we approve ED 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Let's vote.
We need to provide an opportunity for public comment.
Oh, there she is.
Hey.
Hello.
Allison, where are you?
I am at home, having been inaccurately informed that we were virtual tonight.
So does that mean we pay less for your work tonight than we would if you were here? I mean, do we get a discount? We'll talk about it later. Okay. Yeah, public comment.
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on ED1, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to comment on ED1. No speakers at this time.
Did you ever think people would get bored of the pandemic? Just an observation. Okay.
Call for the vote.
Oh, let's vote. Passes unanimously. You want to take over the Housing Authority now?
Sure. Are there any speaker cards for the Housing Authority?
At this time, anyone wishing to come in on HACC1, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to comment on HACC1. No speakers at this time.
No speaker cards. Do you want to waive the presentation?
Sure.
Okay, we'll waive the presentation. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve HACC 1, 2, and 3 under the Housing Authority.
And I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Housing Authority Member Marley,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Vice Chair Chris.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Yes, and I'll turn it back over to Mayor Paris.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the consent calendar. Is there anything to be pulled?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any speaker cards on the consent calendar?
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on any item on the consent calendar, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it's your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to comment on the consent calendar. No speakers at this time.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move the consent calendar as currently comprised.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, new business item 1. How do you want to handle that? Let's hear the staff report from Jeff Hogan.
Good evening, Mayor Paris and members of the City Council. Sadly, I have no Flintstone jokes. I was Googling, but nothing appropriate for not probably the best subject either. But so the item before you tonight is a request to adopt a food waste recycling ordinance. As Vice Mayor mentioned at the previous meeting, this is a California state mandate that requires businesses and residents to recycle their food waste. So grocery stores, restaurants, condos, apartment complexes, single-family homes, applies to all. This is one of the many components of the state's goals of reducing greenhouse gases and addressing global climate change. The state enacted the Senate Bill 1383 back in 2016 and used a good faith effort since then for jurisdictions to start recycling their food waste. However, January 1st of this year, it has become required and is mandated. Even though this is now required, all cities across California are still working toward compliance. If not complied with, the state will enforce heavy fines on cities and counties. Thus, approving this ordinance is the first step in showing compliance with the state mandate in order to avoid state fines that could be up to $10,000 a day, as Vice Mayor mentioned at a previous meeting. So we're going to start being active on this, showing that we're eventually going to comply with this. We have a lot of steps after this. City staff will be working to educate residents and businesses about the new California mandate. In addition, the city is in discussions with Waste Management to amend and update the current franchise agreement in light of these new regulations. The city will also be responsible for conducting inspections, so it'll be on us to do the inspections to ensure compliance and report to the state annually. The state mandate requires cities to fine businesses and residents starting January 1st of 2024. So there's a couple of years before we are required to start fining folks. In an effort to help local businesses, staff was able to look and find some grants that could help out purchase bins and provide the required additional educational labels. So as of today, if folks are watching today, we don't start today. The first step is this ordinance. The city will need to work with Waste Management. We'll need to start figuring out what to do. Most of these are looking at using their yard bin for food waste. And then businesses and grocery stores, if the food looks like it's edible still, there will be food delivery organizations or food donation centers. So there's a lot of different programs out there that we're going to have to work with Waste Management. That concludes staff's presentation.
That was riveting, Jeff.
I know. I was trying to keep it simple.
All right, we have any speaker cards?
Not on this. Jeff, I have a rant. This is not Waste Management upping our rates, because that's the effect that this will have. My understanding, it will raise the rates anywhere from $4 to $8, depending on we're currently hauling the waste to Bakersfield.
Correct. The waste goes, yeah.
And it's $10,000 a day if we don't mandate this. Have we asked anyone from the city to stop this, to postpone it, to let us get ready for it? I know it was put into law in, I think it was 2016, but we're still in the middle of a pandemic. People are still need help, and they're going to raise their rates by $50 to $80 to $100. It's just ridiculous. Can we write a letter to our state representatives, to everybody, and just say, stop this? We've done it at the sanitation district had a set increase that was going to take effect for the last 3 years, and we canceled all. So it can be done. Have we tried to do that?
No.
Okay. So I would request that we try to send a letter signed by the mayor and just said, stop this insanity, especially put a larger burden on our citizens, because this comes from the state. It doesn't come from Waste Management. It doesn't come from the city. But we're required to do all this stuff, and we're going to get the blame for it.
Correct. Yes.
So let's make sure we point out to everybody and make sure that it's put in the Outlook magazine that this is coming, and it's not from the city. It is directly from the state of California and their bureaucracy.
I would be happy to do that. And just a side note, too, the League of Cities has taken positions on this, as well as multiple other cities. We'd be happy to do that. I know I've listened to you individuals communicate that to our state electeds as well. But I think a more formal approach would be absolutely necessary, and be happy to do that.
Is there anybody else?
The frustrating part I have is this is just another example of raising the cost of living here in California. So you got one group up there passing these laws, and then we talk about the homeless problem that we have in California, or we talk about the rising rates of what it costs to be able to live here. And this is just another great example of that. Somebody might say, well, it's not a whole lot, but again, we have already talked about what it's going to potentially do to rates. So this is just going to add another layer as they continue to do so. So quite frustrating from my point of view.
It's potentially over a 30% rate increase in our trash rates.
Correct. It's significant.
Jeff, what did you do?
Want to call for speaker cards? And then I'll make the motion.
Do we have any speaker cards? Oh,
At this time, anyone wishing to comment on NB1, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to comment on NB1. No speakers at this time.
is there a motion?
I will reluctantly introduce the ordinance NB1 Senate Bill 1383 because the state says we have to.
Is there a second? With that ringing endorsement?
I second that.
Let's vote. It passes unanimously, reluctantly. Okay, council agenda. Any speaker cards?
At this time, anyone wishing to come in on any item on the council agenda, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to come in on any item on the council agenda.
For clarity, this includes CR1 and CR2.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It doesn't include CR, it includes CA1 and CA2
Not CA3?
and CA3.
Excuse me, CA1, CA2, and CA3.
I did have one email comment that I can read
Okay.
regarding CA1. It is from Janice Williams, and her comment is, Mayor Paris's hope to place the item on the agenda should be vetoed. Who will get to disperse the funds and to whom? That is not a viable idea. If the sheriff department would change their tactics and become more professional and learn to protect and serve, their funding would not be cut. And that's all the comments I have from the public.
And Sean, that's CA3. I think you need to do CA1.
Okay, hold on. Oh, okay. So, before we get to the subsidy for homeowners owning guns, I'd like to hear from the Sheriff's Department as to just exactly how serious is this going to be if the supervisors act? What is the effect it's going to have on the manpower for the deputies? And what plans do we have in place other than arming the citizens?
Good evening, Mayor. Thanks for asking about that. And we do enjoy your support regarding this threat to public safety. The Board of Supervisors' decision to enact discipline and potential termination of our employees has the effect of potentially removing 4,000 deputies from our staff across the county. Locally, it's a pretty high number. I don't have the exact figures because it's been changing weekly. But it's a significant number of your deputies that would be terminated from employment. The department has emergency response plans in place to perform our core functions, which would be patrol, custody of inmates, and some court functions. We would have a very difficult time performing all of those. We might be able to do portions of them, but we would have a hard time doing all of them. We would definitely not be able to do any of our support elements, such as detectives, helicopters, search and rescue, our Special Enforcement Bureau. All of those operations would have to be folded into our core functions of patrol and custody. What you would effectively see is deputies responding to calls for service of emergent nature only, and follow up on those criminal investigations would be extremely lengthy if we were able to get any done at all.
So, what's the Board of Supervisors? Are they going to do this?
I believe they are. I believe this is an attempt of them to take away the disciplinary function from the sheriff. This is an argument that they've been having with him for quite some time. They would like to be able to control our staff and take that away from him.
Yeah, I'd like to be king too, but, that's not how it works.
Can we set the scene a little bit for the people that are watching from home? That the Board of Supervisors has determined or asked the Sheriff Villanueva to discipline 30% or more of the deputies as far as termination, and he has refused to do so. Correct?
Yes, sir. The sheriff supports the individual rights of the deputies. He has enforced the mandate to notify the county of their vaccination status, but he does not support the board's position on mandatory vaccination.
And this is not just with the Sheriff Department. They're doing the same thing with the Fire Department, correct?
Yes, sir.
So they're creating their own pandemic by doing this. They're creating a major problem within a problem.
Yes, sir. They're definitely stoking the fire of the problem.
Okay.
I just don't understand it. I mean, nobody has been more pro-vaccine than I was. But the reason I was so pro-vaccine was public safety. It was to protect the community. The pandemic's over. To the extent that, as you said, it's becoming a personal choice issue. It's not something we should necessarily be engaged in. I don't understand this desire to throw the baby out with the bathwater for political purposes. And what else could it be? You know, do I think our deputies should get vaccinated? Of course I do. Do I think that it's now a matter of public health that they get vaccinated? I don't. You know, as long as the hospital's up and running, it is what it is. What I don't want to do is sit here, you know, wringing my hands about what to do about this. What is the plan we're putting in place? What are we going to do if this happens? It's not adequate to have lengthy response times to criminal activity. It just isn't. If they're not there within 6 minutes, there's not going to be an apprehension. That really is what it comes down to statistically. That's the way it's been since the 70s. Any thoughts, Jason?
Well, I think there's a couple options. You placed one on the agenda tonight. I think there's some other options as it relates to self-policing, different services that the city can provide. The concern becomes if the sheriff is unable to commit to the contract, right? We procure a certain number of minutes and man hours. If they're unable to provide those man hours, obviously we shouldn't be paying for that. Those resources should be placed other places. And we can do that in a number of different ways from, you know, patrol. We obviously don't have sworn officers, and we don't have an existing department, but there's other ways that we could fund and help as well. We haven't got to that point yet to determine that. Hopefully getting some feedback from you tonight as how you want us to proceed. But it then becomes a city's responsibility to fill the voids that the sheriff's department can no longer fill. It is our responsibility as a city to enforce our laws.
So, Mayor, may I say that, well, the craziness, you know, we speak about public health and we spoke about a year ago, 2 years ago, public safety. And so now we have a different type of public safety issue, or potentially. So, you know, you got typically, where I come from, we usually do Plan A and then we do Plan B. So I support your Plan A, but as the city manager said, I think we also need to craft a Plan B, because we don't know these crazy, and I call them crazy people, because they're putting us in harm's way, or potentially. You know, maybe we're having dialogue tonight that maybe they'll get some sense about themselves. The other thing that's real frustrating is a year or 2 years ago, prior to the vaccine, the fire department, the sheriff's department were heroes, and they were going out into the public with no vaccinations and performing at their own personal risk on behalf of the public. And now all of a sudden they come up with this crazy idea that we need to reverse the mindset. It's dumbfounding. But again, I support your Plan A, but I think we need a Plan B, and it you know, we need to. I'd feel more confident if we had something that we're working on ASAP.
What, 6 months ago, somebody broke into my house while I was there, and I came down the stairs with a shotgun, and they ran. If I didn't have that shotgun, I don't know what would have happened. But they were in my house. You know, now it would have been different if the kids were still living there. You know, that's a factor. But it was still, you know, a frightening thing. And that's with a full complement of police officers, you know. And what I don't want to see is us back to a time where there's 400 Part 1 crimes. Because that's what it was when we got elected. It was
478.
478. What is it now?
I think it's around 300.
So I think we run it by the statistics. We reach a certain point, I want to know what we're going to do. If it gets to 400, I absolutely want to arm this population. We are not going back to that. If we have to take care of our own families, that's what we'll do. Do I think it's the preferred way of doing it? I think it's insanity.
I don't think it's the best way of doing anything. But I think people have a right to be safe in their own homes. And when we reach to the place where that is no longer the case, I think everything has to be on the table. And it's not that I just want to, it's that we will work with the department on this, but the goal is that these people be safe. Obviously, arming them is the last option, not the first option. But I want a plan, and I want it statistically driven. And we haven't even talked about the fire department. I mean, what services are you going to be able to provide? Buy everyone fire extinguishers.
Our numbers are about the same. Our numbers are about the same, but you referenced it, Mayor. A 6-minute response time isn't going to, or more than that, isn't going to result in an apprehension. An extended response time for us isn't going to result in a good outcome on medical rescues, fires, et cetera. So response time is response time, whether it's a suspect or a fire or a medical rescue. So we have multi-layered work short programs that are on the table in hopes of maintaining response times, but I think our numbers, our percentages are about the same, somewhere in that 30% range at the end of the day. That's a lot. And ultimately, it's going to result in, with constant staffing, firefighters and police officers, but firefighters specifically, that not working 1, 2, or 3 days in a row, but working 6, 7, 8, 10 days in a row at Fire Station 33. That comes at a cost as well. So,
I mean, how can you work people that hard and not expect catastrophic mistakes occur?
agreed.
Mayor, there's one other aspect of this that is being neglected, I believe, is the cost of replacing the personnel that we're going to lose. Deputy sheriff is a very expensive employee to train and insure. A firefighter is probably more expensive to train and insure. We, at our current, what we're allowed to replace, we're not even meeting our normal losses from retirements and folks leaving due to injury. But all of those people that are going to be discharged are going to take their skill set that has already been paid for somewhere else, and other places are going to benefit from it when your deputies will leave, and your deputies will leave this community and go find jobs elsewhere doing the same work.
All right. It's probably the first place we ought to start. I want that hybrid department up and running, and I want to at least attempt to recruit the deputies that the county's going to fire.
Good idea.
So that we can hold it until sanity prevails. I mean, I think it's obvious what's going to happen if they go through with this threat. They will not be reelected. It's just the way. Our primary obligation is to protect the families in our community, and if they fail to do that.
Can I make a motion?
Huh?
Can I make a motion?
What is your motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we table this, number one. Number two, come back with a plan that supports the sheriff department and fire department. Number three, let them know that the city of Lancaster will hire as many deputies, many fire as we can within the city. And number four, to have a contract that they have to supply those minutes that they're giving us without carping.
I'll second that motion. Or is it, well, wait a minute, we're on an agenda, so we can only
We can do
direct it,
that.
right?
I just changed it.
Okay.
I added to it.
You're within the scope of the agenda item.
The thing I'm concerned about is we don't have a vehicle to do the fire department. We're going to have to create that. And hopefully.
But that comes with the plan.
the plan. They can come back with a plan that lets us know what we can do, but if they're going to be crazy, it doesn't give us a license to be crazy with them. We have to fix what they've done. So let's start fixing it.
I'm a little, how soon are they talking about doing this?
The next action is scheduled for March 15th.
You seem distressed, Darrell.
It's a slippery slope, what we're talking about. I've been saying before that I want us to hurry up and get our own police department. I believe our city is mature enough, strong enough, financially fiscal enough to do this, because even before this happened with what's going on between, it seemed like a personal battle between the board and the supervisors and the sheriff right now. This is what it seemed like they've been arguing for a while. We've been having a carpet issue for a while. I know this personally.
Day one.
Yeah, I know this personally from what happened at my own ministry. So this isn't something that just happened. The sheriffs have been stressed, overworked for a long time in this valley. I'm tired as a councilman of getting blamed for something that we really can't take control of. When the sheriffs do something, our hands are still tied. If we have our own police department, we can take swift action because we're responsible as a city. Now, I know that's a dual-edged sword. We can be sued, but I'm a person of responsibility. The problem that I have with arming a bunch of citizens is I feel the citizens that want to be armed are armed already. I just believe that. If we're going to start saying that we're going to pay for guns for citizens to be armed, we have to be responsible enough to have a citizens academy to let people know that there are certain things, even in the law. If somebody break in your house and then they run outside your house, you still can't chase them down and shoot them. We don't want armed robberies and different things happening in our city either.
I'd change that law.
Yeah, I know. They used to make jokes about drag them back in and all this other stuff, but there are a lot of responsibilities. And here's the other problem that I'm having, and I guess I'm talking from a pastor standpoint. The suicide rate has been ridiculous lately. And when you bring guns into a house, the suicide rate goes up 5 times in homes. So we're talking, I just feel like while we want to keep our citizens safe and we want to make sure that everything is going, it's just a big scope. And I don't know if it's something that I feel like we're behind. We're reacting to something that we should have done a long time ago. I've been saying this from the get, that we should have had our own police force. I believe we should have our own fire department. And we have some people here that have done it in other cities. We're strong enough to do it. And I like
First of all, we're not. We're not.
Strong
We do not have the fiscal ability to run our own fire department and our own sheriff's department. And the reason for that is the county's not going to give us more money to do it, just if we're not contracting with them. They
Right.
still take our money from the property tax.
Well, I guess I'm thinking because of what the powerful moves we just made financially, I think that we at least can, like you said, have the dualship of it.
Well,
and have
the
both.
whole idea
Yeah.
of the hybrid police department is to.
Talking to the mic.
The whole idea of the hybrid police department is to
fill those voids.
Use the sheriff's department for what sheriffs are trained to do.
Right.
I don't want them over at Walmart taking police reports.
Right.
You know.
Right.
46% of their time was being spent at Walmart.
Or CVS getting stolen alcohol. I see it all the time, where people are walking out with close to $1,000 worth of alcohol, and there's nothing that can be done. So I get it.
Daryl, this motion tables the gun. We're
you guys are such.
we're tabling that. Okay? So that's
Everybody at this table has guns in their home. Everybody on this dais has it.
I will go back to my first comment. The people that are already armed.
not one of them, not one of my guns has been purchased by the city.
I'm just saying.
We've all been trained.
We hit 400 Part 1 crimes again. Be ready.
That's why I tabled it. We tabled it.
Create a
and
plan.
we come up with a plan, a critical plan that includes the fire department, and we show the support for the deputies to the Board of Supervisors that we're behind them.
I guess the first thing is, what do we do to keep the people from going to other departments?
I agree with you, Mayor, that I don't understand why they're doing this now when everything, Friday, I believe, they're supposed to be removing masks from people that are vaccinated. indoors. So I don't understand why this is happening now. I agree. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
You know, let's not mince any words here. Part of this is just a scam to defund the police.
Yeah, I mean, is this another
Any
ploy
excuse
for
will do.
defunding the police? Were they playing games publicly with people?
Yeah.
And just make sure that everyone's aware that they've already done that through Metro. They already defunded the Metro. They came back and funded them, but all the Metro funding that they had, they're eliminating, and they're putting it off till, I think, August. And that's like $171 million, and they want ambassadors to ride the trains. It's just, it's ridiculous. But at least we have time to come up with a plan, and at least we can show the Board of Supervisors that we're behind the deputies and we're behind the firemen.
Yeah. I'm really concerned about the fire department, too. Not that I'm not for the sheriffs, but California is known for the fires. And I just don't understand how we lose 30% of our firefighters.
I'll tell you this, which I would put the sheriffs at the front of the line with where we're at on this. A couple of years ago, based on Woolsey Fire and some other things, we went into a mass hiring, and we're actually getting caught up to where in my 34-year career, we've never run 2 classes at the same time, and we're just rolling them through right now. So we're in a pretty good place staffing-wise. So we've got a little more flexibility on that as we navigate it. And I would just say not to speak out of turn, but on the police, and having your own police and your own fire department is great. But we both work for a very, very big machine that brings a lot of things that aren't necessarily located in this city when it's go time. There's, Blackhawks and SWAT teams and all these things. So that's always a bigger picture to look at on what you're getting a F-250 with a whole lot of options. So, but the fires, we're looking okay, but there's a little bit of flexibility there.
So are we not in agreement of Marvin's, he made a motion, I seconded it. I clearly think we need to pull the trigger on.
Well, the motion is we investigate and we get a plan in place.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have to do that, and obviously, I'm in favor of that. We have a speaker card. I got to deal with the speaker card, and
Sure.
then we can vote. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? But whatever help the fire department can give us in regards to developing a plan, stupidity like this rears its head every now and then, but cooler heads prevail. We come back to normal. What I want to do is be able to preserve that status quo. So these are valuable people. They're going to get recruited in a heartbeat. These guys will not have any trouble getting another job. What do we do to keep them?
Right.
I think it's important that we say that Supervisor Barger voted against it.
Yes, she did.
So, and your deputy mayor would like to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, Council, I think that, one, we're seeing the numbers drop precipitously on the cases, which is fantastic. Public health looks at a wide variety of aspects of life when we think about saving lives and reducing suffering. Not having adequate law enforcement or fire and paramedics will cause more deaths and more suffering than any advantage it's going to be to get everyone vaccinated. I think probably a lot of officers and a lot of firemen who weren't vaccinated got COVID, during Omicron, it's my guess, and during Delta. And a lot of people died across the country in law enforcement, unfortunately. There's some stuff about that. But people at this point are making personal choices about their own health. And a lot of the things we did during COVID, the government caused a lot of collateral damage to a lot of people, in terms of businesses, activities, schools, a lot of things. So well-meaning things aren't necessarily always well-meaning or have good outcomes. And I would suggest that from what I'm hearing is that not only, setting a communication to the county supervisors that strongly disagree if we think that with their actions.
At the beginning of this pandemic, I was on those phone calls with Barbara Ferrer and all the mayors in the county, and you know, I remember asking, why aren't we just enforcing a mask ordinance, you know? Oh, I remember her saying, oh, we're just recommending it, and we're providing guidance for it. And now, I mean, when she could have done something, when it could have saved thousands of lives, she did nothing. And now that it's over, they want to remove our firemen and deputies. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, the critical role that law enforcement and the fire department play in this community can't be overstated. I mean, these guys are heroes, and we work with them every day at the hospital. I don't know what we'd do without them, seriously.
All right. Hopefully reason will prevail, but it doesn't look like it's going to. Okay. Ruth Lovano? Are you coming to get a free gun?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. My name is Ruth Lovenos. I'm a city council member from the city of Simi Valley. I came specifically to speak on this issue on the agenda, and I come from a city that has its own police department, and also as a city council member that has a law degree. And one of the things that I look at as an elected official is the liability, because we are protectors of taxpayer money, and we are held accountable for that. And one of my greatest concerns was, if you do fund guns for private citizens, that exposes Lancaster to a whole lot of legal liability. We're already seeing all kinds of laws that are being put on the books in terms of, people who are the victims of gun violence suing gun manufacturers and suing gun owners. And if the city is going to subsidize the cost of guns for private citizens, that also exposes the city of Lancaster to liability. And that's something that we balance as elected officials constantly, right, is the lawsuits and, the liability that we face as citizens. And as a city and as elected officials, how we spend that taxpayer money. So I asked you to consider that as one of the reasons why you should use it, not fund private citizens getting guns. The other concern I have is, if the concern is with safety.
What liability do you see us giving people money? Now, if they purchase a gun with it, what liability possibly would rest with the city on that? I don't think that's valid at all. I see the concern that people don't think anybody should own guns. I totally get that. And I would prefer that people didn't have to own guns. But with this Board of Supervisors, we are not going to be defenseless. We are not going to be sitting ducks for what we experienced 12 years ago. And, I really have trouble with somebody coming in and saying that we're going to have all kinds of liability. I can assure you we know exactly how to do these things without incurring liability. Some people think I'm pretty good at finding liability in these situations. Okay?
Well, with all due respect, Mayor, there are a number of case laws showing that bartenders are legally responsible when a drunk, attendee, and I'd like to reclaim some of my time, if that's okay. Thank you, Mayor. There are a number of cases showing that, when a drunk, a drunk person goes to a bar, leaves, the bar, that the bartenders have been held liable. So in that same regard, the same legal reasoning could be held. My greater concern is for the community of Lancaster. I do shop here, I do spend time here, I do have a lot of family here in Lancaster, and we know that if we want to reduce crime, and just for background, I'm a criminal justice major, I have a law degree, I've invested many, many, many years in criminal justice, that if we want to reduce the crime rate, we do that by investing in our community. We do that by providing high-paying jobs, by providing housing, by investing in our schools, by investing in daycare. We know that when we invest in our community, that's what lowers the crime rate. That's what probably would have prevented the person that broke into your home. They were probably there looking for something of value that they needed due to the lack of opportunities in the community. So we know that if we want to reduce crime rate, the way to do it is not by arming individuals and promoting vigilantism, but specifically by investing in the community so that people have high-paying jobs and the opportunities that prevent them from having to turn to crime. And I can say that because I've been a teacher for over 22 years, I've been a juvenile probation officer, and because I have that actual academic knowledge of 7 years of a criminal justice major and a law degree. And that's what I came to offer, is to offer the reinvestment in the community, in our students, in our youth, in our families, and providing those high-paying jobs like career tech ed jobs that would help people not have to turn to crime, to have those financial opportunities. And that's what I came here to speak about. I do see Lancaster as a place that I spend a lot of time and money in, and I have a lot of family and friends here, including lots of teachers that teach in LA Unified like I do, and that's why I came to speak today. So thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
So are you talking to the Board of Supervisors about not defunding our police this way?
I'm talking about investing in our future and using ways that we know will reduce crimes, effective ways, research-based ways. I'd love to hear you talk, Mayor, about how you're going to look at the statistics. And we know that looking at the statistics and the research, we know how to reduce crime. And so, yes, I'm glad to speak to the Board of Supervisors about ways to reduce crime by investing in our schools, investing in our communities, investing in future and in jobs.
Well, I don't think any city in the county has brought in more mortgage-paying jobs than we have in the past 6 years. No one. No one can say that as much as we have. The fact of the matter is we need a police department. You know, you just do. You need an effective police department that is able to enforce the laws. And what we have now, we have a district attorney that won't enforce the laws. We have a state legislature that has eviscerated most of the laws. And we now have this homeless population where 40% of them came out of our prisons. You know, this liberal nonsense about all we have to do is give them jobs, I think is just that. It's just nonsense, because we have an employment crisis in this city. We cannot fill the jobs. The labor force, the people will not apply for the jobs. This is not a question of there not being jobs. This is something different. And in the moment they take away the fire department and the police department, things are going to get really ugly. And anybody who doesn't recognize that they got to take off the rose-colored glasses.
Well, Mayor, I did speak to high-paying jobs, but I know that my time is up, and I don't want to take any more of your precious time at City Council.
I kind
But
of
thank
enjoyed
you.
the conversation, actually.
Thank you. Yes, you know, like I said, in all the research that is available in criminal justice, we know how to reduce the crime rate in our community. So I ask you to consider that. I'm more than happy to speak to the County Board of Supervisors with regard to that issue and that investment in our communities. I do want to tell you that we do have our own police department in Simi Valley. It does come with liability. It does come with a lot of time and resources that you know, you have to consider that as well. So consider that as well, because there is consideration in having your own police department and what kind of liability that brings about, and more work for your city attorney as well, and, you know, needing to expand that department. So just letting you know that those are considerations to balance in terms of what that entails and what that means, and the cost as well.
You sound like that you're kind of torn on your own police department. I mean, has it been great for you in your experience as a councilwoman, or what?
Financially, it's 49.5% of our budget is the police department. And the retirement is always an issue that we're concerned about, because that's liability you have forever as a city. So consider that. I'm just asking you to consider that as elected officials. Does that make sense? Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
You want me to repeat it? I had already called
I
for.
can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Do you want her to repeat it? She already.
Oh, you already
called
did
for it.
that, so
Yeah.
it's good? We got all the speakers?
Yeah, there's
Great.
no other speakers.
So we have a motion, we have a second, shall we vote?
Wait, I forgot, we're voting on your table?
Correct.
Okay.
I thought it was to investigate.
Getting on to.
It's unanimous. Okay. Are we doing these individually, so CA2?
Cassandra Harvey.
So I am nominating Cassandra Harvey to the Vice Chair of the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any speakers?
Any speakers?
I actually call for all speakers on the council agenda as a whole, but I'd be glad to do it again.
Would you do it again? Because we have
Sure.
a city attorney that's just.
She popped up.
Here I am.
Just when we thought we were
At this time, anyone wish to comment on CA2, please press star 9. I will announce the last 4 digits of your caller number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please press star 9 at this time if you wish to comment on CA2. No speakers at this time.
Okay, let's vote. Passes unanimously. Now, Sean Cannon.
Thank you. Before I begin, please do not forget about nurses when we're talking about vaccine mandates. They have a plethora of knowledge and generational experience that if we're going to have a new hospital, that they will take their expertise elsewhere as well. And it's a personal choice for them as too. So please do not forget about nurses. But other than that, on this CA3, good evening, Council and Mayor, and I rise in support of, to express my support for the appointment of Giovanni Pope as the Vice Chair of the Social Equity Commission. Giovanni has been instrumental in navigating city policy, and he has exhibited exemplary knowledge of parliamentary procedure, and he brings a perspective to our commission and to our city that was key in us drafting our equity report that you guys should be coming to you guys pretty soon. Is going through staff for your review. And I also would like to applaud our Vice Chair Carter for her work. Early on, she was really instrumental in helping us get our commission organized and established, and she helped us lay the foundation for us to take off. So 2022 is the year of action, and I look forward to Vice Chair Carter's continued service on the commission, as well as Giovanni Pope as our Vice Chair. You'll be hearing a lot more from us in this year. Giovanni is the right man for the job. He's the right person for the job. And with his appointment, I know I will be a better chair with him as Vice Chair, and this will be a better commission. So again, I support Giovanni for Vice Chair. Thank you very much.
I'm still waiting for some changes.
Yes.
How have we improved the welfare of the people in Lancaster? And you don't have to answer that now, but I do want you to know that I'm looking.
Right. If I would like to address it, if I may. Okay. When we first started this commission, we knew what we were starting for. We knew what direction we were going in because we already had that direction from the community. And a lot of what we've learned as commissioners, as for me, just a normal college student turned commissioner, is how to navigate city policy, how to turn activism into action. And it's not as easy for everyday citizens to do that. But that's what this commission is all about, and that's what we have been able to do since we've been established, is to really get it right, really understand where the upstream things are happening, and how do we turn what we talk about on the streets, that activism, into real action, and what can we do and what can't we do. And a lot of it was going back to the drawing board. A lot of it was listening to other groups and letting other groups know that, hey, this is what we understand navigating city, not politics, but bureaucracy. There's some bureaucracy here too. But we have been able to do that. We have finalized an equity report. It's out of commission. It's with staff and being prepared for your review. And there's more coming.
Mayor, if I can jump in too, we're going to be adding staff tomorrow. He starts. That is going to be a liaison between the commission to do exactly what Sean was mentioning. They did put an action plan together. So the goal now is to implement that as city staff. As Sean mentioned, there's some delicate balance as it relates to community members implementing when you have staff that are there to do budgets and things like that. So merging those two together is going to be very valuable for the commission, but also for city government. And then as well as integrating that into the hybrid policing model where we can start taking some of their ideas in their action plan and actually making them action. And I think you'll see a lot of changes very soon.
We're ready to hit the ground running on hybrid law enforcement and get community buy-in. We have been talking about that for a while, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So Giovanni, I'm nominating you to be the vice chair.
I will second that.
And do I have to do any, is the city attorney still listening, or can we just vote?
We can vote.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay, let's vote.
She's just like a mother, huh?
Worse. Sorry, weekend.
It passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
I was, I was debating because you're so young, but at the end of the day, you deserve the position. You are putting a lot into this. You're knowledgeable about it. You're educating yourself about it, and you're not rolling over either. And that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Good. So, council reports.
Antelope Valley Transit Authority, we're doing all the applications to become a Medicare provider, so we can get reimbursed for that in a different scope. We're going through all of our budget applications. We're doing everything. We're still in the plus side of cost per mile. We will be sitting down with all three jurisdictions to look at a rate increase that is needed very badly for the drivers. So we'll look at that and send it to each jurisdiction. For the AVA QMD, we did for the lawnmowers and everything, it was so highly successful that the Lowe's ran out of equipment to provide. They're looking at either having somebody else or having the entire community be able to provide what we're looking to do. And just to keep in mind for everybody that a lawnmower, a gas-powered lawnmower, is equivalent to 7 cars on the road. So they are a target for us, and we will pay for it or give you a large sum to have an electric lawnmower. Sanitation District. On the Sanitation District, there was a rate increase. We talked about it. This is the 3rd year in a row that we have stopped the mandatory rate increase. So people will not see a rise on their sanitation bills due to taxes, we'll say. So we did stop that. The Board of Supervisors, not the Board of Supervisors, but the Catherine Barker did vote for it to stop it. So we can do it. We did it there, and that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Go ahead.
So I want to pass along today, we had our meeting for Lancaster Destination, and I'm proud to say that coming before the council will be our new T-bid that would start next year. And unanimously, what was voted on today was instead of having a 5-year T-bid, we're going to go to a 10-year T-bid.
What is that?
That's the
Destination Lancaster.
Destination Lancaster.
The hotels pay.
Hotels, the taxing entity.
You're using an abbreviation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And the people listening aren't going to know what it is.
So, and then also too as well, we're going to do a rate increase of 1% with the new T-bid coming before in January. And then I have some examples again. Keep in mind that historically, this was actually a fairly large cost. This is one of the giveaways that the hotel gives out, as well as we share them with the Chamber of Commerce. And it's been a revenue source for us, as well as when somebody comes into the community, they can glance and see the different activities that are here, as well as the restaurants that are available. So then when somebody comes in from the outside of the area, they get indoctrinated fairly quickly. So, but anyway, very positive meeting today.
You did good, Ken.
This is nice. I would visit my own city.
Yeah, when somebody comes in from the outside, we want to be able to put a real positive, the best foot forward. And then, too, a lot of times people come in from out of town and they go, you know, what's there to do? And there's also sorts of examples there between activities that someone might be involved with when they come and stay. So it's just not a, you know, I'm going to lay my head on the pillow and then tomorrow I'll leave, but let me see all the different things that I can find that are interesting and enjoyable for the city of Lancaster and Antelope Valley.
I must say, being an ex-foodie myself, it's a lot of great food in Antelope Valley. I think I've tried almost every restaurant.
Good.
Yes.
Careful, Darryl.
And
So,
then
I have some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the budget for Destination Lancaster?
So right now, we're just short of about $630,000.
And that's from the bed tax?
Yes, sir.
All of that goes into the Destination Lancaster?
Correct.
And what's the oversight look like?
So,
I mean, who are we paying out of that?
So obviously, between all the supportive activities that take place, so obviously one of the next items that will come that we support would be the Poppy Festival. So we're one of the sponsors because, again, that brings people from outside in. And then during that time, over the next 30 days prior to, we'll be advertising outside of Lancaster. We have Spectrum under contract, and using Facebook as an example, one of the tools that we use to advertise. And again, when people come into the Antelope Valley, come up here for the Poppy Festival, the idea would be to get them to come up, stay all night, look at the activities. So that's just an example.
No, I understand the goals.
Yes.
I'm vexed by the we have this significant amount of money.
Correct.
That is city money, even if it's bed tax, it's still city money.
Correct.
Right? And we've created this separate bureaucracy that isn't under the city manager, isn't under we've got a city staff that requires people to be accountable, and they do it very well. I mean, anybody that works for this city, they don't get to phone it in. And I'm wondering why we don't have the staff for Destination Lancaster part of our city staff.
So we do have one city employee besides myself representing the city. So if you ask what the makeup is of the board that sets direction and sets policy, it's...
What I'm asking, it's not the board I'm concerned about.
Okay.
It's the employees of Destination Lancaster. I think they should be city employees that answer within the hierarchy of the city. I mean, I don't mind the board setting the vision and priorities, but I'm not happy with the oversight.
I think, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but the T-bid was sent out that it is not our money, but it's collected as a tax, and it's dual money, and it is governed by the hotels and the city, where the hotelers can participate in where they spend the money. Isn't that how it was?
So the T-bid that Ken references is a tourism business improvement district that is voted on by those that are assessing themselves. So that vote that needs to happen, that sounds like it's going to be coming before the council, you have to authorize it through the city, but the hoteliers vote to put that tax on themselves, and there's parameters associated with that in which they vote for. And those parameters could be, it's a voluntary fee for them, so they want to have some control over it that benefits them. So it's very similar to the Boulevard District. There's a fee that's placed on the Boulevard, and then they expend those funds for the benefit of themselves. But they can't do that without the city. So we have a fiduciary responsibility, but the hoteliers can vote it out of their fees as well, if they chose to do this so.
I would like you to exercise that fiduciary responsibility a little more, with a little more oversight.
Understood.
All right, fair
Okay,
enough?
and then I'm thinking that we're going to land probably the month of, given that we're going to have a dark period for 1 month for city council meetings, it looks like we'll bring the audited report before the council, and I think the target is right now for May. So you'll be able to see an audited budget.
You know what my concerns are.
Sure, sure.
I want those concerns addressed.
Sure.
Okay? Thank you. I think it's certainly something we need to have. It's certainly something we should invest money in. But I want I think we operate at a very high level with the city staff. I want that reflected in everything we do. And I don't think anybody can say that that's occurred yet.
Sure, I'll be more than happy to spend some time with the city manager and make sure that we have the proper guidance and oversight. How's that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
And just to piggyback on that, Rex, I did talk with Jason in regards to piggybacking on city staff with the AVA QMD, because we're looking at the different costs, and right now we have an agreement with Mojave Desert to share the costs. It's getting a little cost prohibitive to do that. So in order to just take a look at the cost, I talked to Jason, and maybe we'll add some city staff or a portion of the city staff. So we'll pay for half of a finance person. So that's what we're integrating in the AVA QMD to do that, to take advantage of the power of the city.
Good. Thank you. I think we've created a culture here that is hard driving, is fearless in many respects, and accomplishes incredible things. I think that should be across the board. There's no reason. I don't want anybody being able to hide. That is how we say it at the office. All right, good, thank you very much. And, don't take anything I'm saying as a criticism of what you've built here. I mean, you've built something that's important.
Moving along and very successful.
Okay.
But again, if I'll take the time to, as I've done in the past with Jason, and we'll collaborate and make sure that
if people are drawing a check from the city, I want them working their tails off, right?
Okay.
Because that's what everybody else does.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks.
Mayor Patterson, may I say something?
Yes, you have a lot to report.
Okay, so after lots of meetings and staff's hard work, I have really good news. And so Medical Main Street, which is a big project in Lancaster, and we have finally, the final plans are done. But before that, I want to share a little story with everybody, the why is very personal, important to me. So when I graduated from Corso High School, about like 6 students, buddy of mine, they graduated from Corso, and they end up becoming really successful doctors. And from all 6 of them, one ended up moving back to AV, and 5 they will move to other cities. And my always thing is like coming back to the community and giving back to the community and doing something for the community. So even the one who moved back, he has an office in Palmdale, but he ended up living in Valencia. So here's my question was like, why can't they live here and, they're making money here and living in Valencia, other city? But there was something missing. And that's why they didn't end up coming back here and serving this community. So this plan right here, we have everything what they needed. Everything about like 400 plus people, student graduate from all the high school. And many of them, they go away for higher education. And how many they come back? I don't think many numbers, like they come back to serve this community. But with this plan, I promise you guys, they wanted to come back, they wanted to live in this community, and they will work here, they will live here, and they will make this place better. So Medical Main Street is, we're going to have a new hospital. So along with that, we will have Medical Main Street, which has state-of-the-art mixed use, multiple stories, infrastructure we have. We will have retail, more restaurants, and let's say like there's three stories building. We will have retail and restaurants on the first floor. And the second will be office professional for the doctors and whoever else. And the third one, we will have a condos and like apartments, so who can rent it. Plus, we will have, we're also thinking about daycare right next to the hospital. So hospital staff or nurses or anybody, they have little kids, they can just literally walk out in their break time and go check up on the kids. So we have really good plans that we've been working on over like a couple of years now. So finally it's ready and it's ready to go. So I wanted to share with our, it's not but I was leading this one, but this is everybody's vision. It's our mayor's vision. So it's finally ready to go. And rest of Shannon been working. I don't know if she's here today, but she was the very big tool and the rest of the staff. So I want to thank everybody. Thanks our mayor, our council, staff, and whoever was involved in this. So this is right here. It's amazing. I want everybody to check it and take a look at it. And this is going to be a definitely new hospital. This plan along, we will have we will have a hub right in the middle of the city. So that's all I wanted to share. I'm really excited about this.
It's been several years in the making, Raj. You've done a good job with it. I can't believe it's happening. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's a huge development coming into play.
And bring a lot more jobs as well. So many jobs too. So.
Dr. Larry going to have a penthouse?
What?
Yes, that's probably.
I hear this could be a very beautiful new emergency department.
No, that is one of the purpose actually. So we can have all the doctors that commute. They don't have to go back. They can actually stay here and work hard.
That's great.
Yeah.
I have one thing, and then I'm done. Our art museum is fabulous. I don't care what anybody says. I ride on.
Somebody saying something bad?
No. It's just, you hear about all these other art places, and you ride on the 405 and you see the Getty, but ours is second to none. And I was really just blown away. I was able to take a tour, especially I'm feeling very proud to be an American and Black American at that. And they did a art exhibit for African American. February, Black History Month, and with some Hispanic artists in there, and it is just fabulous. I mean, they spared no expense, and some of it may be a little controversial because they talked about the time in the 60s and 50s, and it's just, I was blown away. We have a video about it, and from your favorite boxer, Muhammad Ali, all the way down, and so I implore everybody in the city to go look at it. They're changing different arts every couple of weeks, and I don't know, I think we only have about another 10 or 12 days left, and Black History Month, but I think they're showing it through March, I believe, the exhibit. And from upstairs to downstairs, it is fabulous. I really didn't want to leave. After the taping, I stayed a little bit more to just really just take in the site. So I want everyone to see this video. And really, anyone that's in the city of Lancaster and the AV, go check out what the MOA did. And shout out to Andy. She's doing a great job, and the staff, city staff.
Good to see you guys. So what is the thing going on right now?
So the thing is actually called activation.
Okay.
And it's about this notion of activating the archive, right?
Okay.
So we have artists who may not have the histories
Okay.
To create a sort of art historical canon because they've been erased or omitted from history. The archive is there to sort of heal those wounds and create a broader social narrative for the exhibition.
So are these multicultural artists, or are these mostly Black artists, or just people from all walks of life?
People from all walks of life, but primarily Black and African American artists, and then Sergio Hernandez, who is Chicano artist as well.
Okay.
So Mark Steven Greenfield is a great place to start. What he's doing is he's essentially rewriting these histories, right?
Okay.
Rewriting these traumatic experiences and these traumatic images from popular culture.
Huh. He's taking power over the images, huh?
Exactly.
That clip really doesn't do justice. It's a lot of in-your-face art, from cotton fields to just the history of America and what it took to get to where it is right now. And I don't think it's something we should run from. I think it's something we should embrace. And it shows how much America has grown up and grown. I was with our parks director, and we just had some great conversations. So I implore everybody, go check out the MOA. It's really a great Black History American tribute to America and her journey to freedom and equality. And it just did me good.
Sold me, I'm going.
Yeah.
And want to give Robert a shout out. You saw in the video there, he's the one of the up and comers, young stars that was in the video. He started when he was early 20s, and Andy's been working him up. This was the first project that he curated from start to finish at the show. So it's not only about building the next generation, but it's also letting all the staff shine. And he did a fabulous job and did a great job in the tour and everything else. So kudos to Robert as well.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Okay. Where are we at? Have any announcements?
City manager.
City manager?
Yes, Mayor, and this might be, may add to this conversation is we had a great meeting with Toshiba. We have a short video, and then you may want to add to that story. We'll do the video real quick, and then you can share the successes of that meeting.
This is probably one of the most significant meetings the city has ever had. We have Toshiba here. Remember who Toshiba is. If an electron moves, they're involved in it. And they came to Lancaster because we are going to be the center of their hydrogen development in the country. Now, what does that mean to us? That means more jobs than we can fill. It means more economic prosperity than we can even imagine, because the world has to shift to hydrogen. There is no choice. It is the only thing that will put an end to climate extinction, and everybody knows it.
Mayor Paris is very supporting, give us guidance to how to support the city of Lancaster here. So I'm very excited today to have a further discussion with Mayor Paris today.
Heliogen is a California-based startup company listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And we're cooperating with the city of Lancaster to produce hydrogen at our test facility right here in the city.
My name is Dr. Anita Sengupta. I'm CEO and founder of Hydroplane Limited. We are an electric sustainable aviation technology company based right out of here in Lancaster, California, Fox Field. We're working on the development of a hydrogen fuel cell power plant to decarbonize aviation.
Hydrogen is just it's an incredible decarbonized
fuel carrier, right? It's a chance for us to actually decarbonize the environment and get away from fossil fuels and get away from all the pollution that's brought us to where we are today. It's a chance to turn things around.
And the thing to remember is it couldn't happen anywhere else, because I don't think there's any other city that has the city council that you have. The city council that I am blessed to be mayor of is innovative, creative, and transformative, all of which global companies are looking for. That's why they're coming here. Thank you.
It really is going to be awesome. It's proceeding faster than we thought it would. You're going to see a level of investment into this city that is going to be astonishing to all of us. It's hard to believe it's coming to fruition, isn't it? It's hold on to your seats. It's going to be an e-ride.
It's very exciting to be a part of. Thank you, guys. Also, a couple updates. COVID testing is still available at Jethawk, so get out there, get tested if you're feeling any symptoms or not, or you're going to a party or need some extra protection. It's still there, still free, still very quick. I think there are also rapid tests available if you need something quickly. And then the PCR is, of course, the most accurate, as we heard tonight. So get out there and do that, as well as vaccines at the fairground. We just celebrated 100,000th vaccine by Kaiser. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. So salute to Kaiser and the partners who've been doing those vaccines at the fairgrounds. There are still plenty available, so go out and get them. State of the City, I want everybody to mark their calendar, March 18th. We're going to do State of the City this year at LPAC. It's going to be a completely different format, organized by our stellar communications team. It'll be a very TEDx or TED-ish setting at LPAC, so we encourage everybody to participate, get not only good education on what we've got going on with hydrogen, but where the city's going, and I think it'll be a fantastic event. I don't know if you want to add to anything to that, Mayor.
Well, I just think that our communication staff is doing an incredible job with it. They actually went to TED and met with them, saw how they did it, participated, and they're bringing that back to the event we're going to do on the State of the City. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting. I hope everybody who has any interest in the city is there to see it. I think you're going to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. The goal is to entertain, inspire, and educate. So hopefully that's the goal with everybody leaving there. So it'll be a great day.
That's the intent.
Yep. And then we've got Goodstock Benefit Concert. You'll see some of that in our social media. We did a little teaser out there about a concert that we're going to be having at Jethawks on March 26th. It's hosted by Brandon T. Jackson. I'm guessing I should know who that is, but hopefully there's a lot of people out there that do. But it's going to be great acts for everybody to participate and enjoy. And then we'll be coming out with more information on who's going to be there. So great night, March 26th, as we start getting out. And of course, Poppy Festival, which we talked before, April 22nd to the 24th. It's in partnership with the AV Fair and Event Center, and it's going to be 3 days. And Marvin, I don't know if you want to talk about that. I know you've worked closely with the fair and making those changes happen.
There's a lot of changes, hopefully for the good. There's a little bit of controversy with livestock auction. It's going to be a standalone event for 2 years, so they're gearing up to make the necessary changes. There will be some necessary funding that we should let them participate in. I would hope that we could let them participate in the sports package that we already just make them part of that. That would allow them to come in and purchase, the groups would come in and purchase heaters for the animals, different things for the animals that they don't need as of today, because the time frames will be different. They will be showing at the fair in April, 2 years from this coming fair. So we're working on it. It's in progress, so bear with us.
Great. And development services update, we have a lot of construction going on, so thank you to the community out there. Avenue J just recently got done, and we shut it down for a long period of time. We had a window of opportunity with the weather, so we appreciate everybody's patience on that. We try to leave it open during the day. In this case, we had a window of opportunity from a weather perspective, shut it down, and got it done in one day. So we appreciate the patience on that. And not to make a note, but tonight you approved approximately $15 million of more capital projects on the consent calendar. I don't want that to go unnoticed. Our capital team is out there making serious improvements and changing a lot of things. So we're proud of them. And that's just the start. You know, as we talk about what's coming next, we got our mid-year budget coming up in March. You'll see a large expansion of our capital program, as well as some of the projects and other things we're offering. So it's a good time right now to be in Lancaster. And I appreciate your guys' leadership and obviously the support of us and our staff. So we appreciate that. That's it.
Thank you.
I had an idea. What if we incentivize the vaccine for the deputies? I mean, yeah, and the fire department, at local, just our guys. I'd like you guys to talk about it, see if it has merit. Maybe, I'm willing to try anything to avert this problem. Could you organize that, Jason?
Yeah, we'll have a conversation.
And I just realized Alexa doesn't know what a e-ride is, do you?
She is a Disney fan, a big Disney fan, but I don't know that she knows what an e-ticket is.
I just realized I dated myself. When we went to Disneyland as a kid, they had ticket books. And the very best rides were the e-ticket. Right? Right, Jason? You remember that?
No, that's you and Ken.
And so when somebody says it's an e-ride, it's the equivalent of, Pirates of the Caribbean. That was an e-ticket. So now you all know what an e-ride is. Okay?
Alexis probably has an app for that, by the way.
Okay. So, do we have any speaker cards from the public?
This is the time to address the City Council Agency Authority on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards may be found on the back table of the council chambers. For those who are joining telephonically or virtually and would like to comment on non-agendized items, please press star 9 at this time. I will announce the last 4 digits of your calling number when it is your turn to speak. Please state your name and eliminate any background noise. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please keep in mind, state law prohibits the City Council from acting on items not on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the city manager. Thank you. No speakers joining telephonically or virtually.
Fran,
I'm here.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We've missed you.
Thank you. God bless you all. As usual, and as always, I bless you all. But mostly, again, I can't say it enough how much I appreciate my commissioners here and not commissioners, I'm sorry. That's me. But no, I living here in Lancaster, and what you've done for the city is phenomenal. And I had a bunch of stuff to say, but it all changed when I started to hear everybody talk and speak. And I appreciate what your suggestion to do with the police, the sheriff's department, and the fire department. And I think tabling is a good idea so that we can talk about it some more, because that is I can see it becoming a very serious problem here in Lancaster, all over. And I wanted to thank the doctors for their great, great effort. It's phenomenal. I just, I always have a lot to say, but when I come out to say it, it doesn't come out the way I feel, because I appreciate you guys so much. But at that, I will leave you.
Fran, before you leave us, talk to us in regards to the senior program at AVTA about the seniors riding for free, because we're about to renew that.
Yes, and I brought my notes. I was at the meeting this morning. but I had some, yes. That was, I'm not sure I've got all my notes, all my ducks in a row about it, but okay. AQMD gets funding to fund free rides on our AVT buses. Since 2016, they've been paying our bills to ride the bus. And now we're going to be going through this again, and this is the seniors and the disabled and the students to get funding to drive the buses. And in fact, I have here. I want to thank AVTA Board for the services you offer our community. That's in my notes from this morning. But I didn't get a chance to talk.
Let me thank you. So Fran was part of the movement to let the seniors ride for free at AVTA. So we found out that by allowing the seniors to ride for free, we made an extra $500,000.
Yes.
That's right. So by doing that, the federal law ties the seniors and the handicap together. So whatever you do for one, you have to do for another. So we eliminated or made the fares for the seniors and the handicapped. And so through the AVAQMD, we take care of the seniors and we bill the county for the handicapped. So we receive an extra $500,000 a year by allowing them to ride for free. So, Fred, thank you for your work on that. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, thank you. Okay, with that, I will leave you.
Sticking it to the man.
Pardon? What did you say? Okay, thank you very much. And God bless America. Yeah, much.
You good? Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
I'm sorry. No other speakers at this time.
Okay, good. Any other comments from the council? Okay, we don't have a closed session. All right. Oh, that's
We do
right.
not.
Because we don't have our city attorney, do we?
We could do it if we needed to, but no, we do not have one tonight.
So did you figure out the discount you're going to give us for tonight? No, never mind. Okay. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 8th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Our meeting is adjourned. Carol, I am coming home. I got to warn her, you know.
Recording stopped.
I'm having one of those episodes.
Good to meet you, sir.